Yu-Gi-Oh! Almost collapsed. Alpha Investments. What is Alpha Investments? Is this an actual what is it called? Like finance channel? No. Okay. Pokemon. Magic Investments channel. Oh, this'll tide me over.
Folks, so welcome back. Interesting timing. I'm back to the bookcase office doing some paperwork, and as you all know, the state of Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been almost a meme, and Konami's treatment of Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been so bad for so long. I know very, very few people that buy, collect, invest Yu-Gi-Oh! And which is ironic because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is kind of one of the big boys like Magic and Pokemon that have been around since pretty much the beginning, right? And
If anyone for some reason doesn't know why, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Collector market basically just shut down after Starlights were released. Not Starlights, QCRs. So they made like a knockoff copycat rarity of Starlights. And all the collectors just quit Yu-Gi-Oh! Because, you know, that's it. Yeah, they're cool special personal cards were copied. There's no value in them anymore because they just look all the same. We don't have investors. Oh no. Well, on the one hand, who cares? Oh no. Trading card games like Yu-Gi-Oh! Shouldn't be vehicles for investment. But unfortunately, the way the profit-driven capitalist economy functions in our society, profit and revenue drive sales and keep things alive. So the only way to really keep product alive and on the shelves is by having whales and investors and people who, buy large quantities of product. And that's why over the last year or two, we've seen product rotting on the shelves for Yu-Gi-Oh! Because no one's buying it because there's nothing to collect, there's nothing worth it. Right? So, essentially what ends up happening is Yu-Gi-Oh! Dies. That's a good point. If product sucks for players, collectors, and for stores, then who's the product for? So they had to do something. Assuming what's going to happen is they'll push these full arts into being super rare cards that are hard to get, and then hopefully that'll bring more collectors back into the game, and then the game can thrive and be alive like that. And the collecting whales can keep and boost our game. So that's just that is just the reality of how it works. You might hate it because investing is cringe and using Yu-Gi-Oh! As a model for investment is cringe, but ultimately, it is kind of what keeps the lights on for the game in some sense.
the last, 15, 20, 10 Yu-Gi-Oh! Sets, maybe besides a rarity collection specialty set, every single Yu-Gi-Oh! Set, stores pay like $60 for a box of Yu-Gi-Oh! At a wholesale price level. And every single Yu-Gi-Oh! Set comes out and collapses 10, 20, 30, 40, 50%, either on release day, within 30 days, or a week later. And all these stores nationwide who carry Yu-Gi-Oh! Have been just reducing their orders, questioning, why am I buying this? Should we just say F this? Should we just drop it?
And the only reason to keep a Yu-Gi-Oh! Product in your shop is to maintain your OTS store license, which Konami requires you to buy X amount of product per set cycle and year or whatever. So they're basically, stores are pretty much just being blackmailed, is that the word you'd use, maybe, in some way? To hold Yu-Gi-Oh! Product. Otherwise, they lose their OTS license. And if they lose their OTS license, they can't run Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournaments. Well, they can, but they won't be official. And you don't get OTS packs, which are some of the most prestigious and competitively sought-after prize support at the local level. So, big paradox, isn't it?
Attitude in Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been getting... I don't really cover this. Because I don't really deal in Yu-Gi-Oh! In general, but I've been kind of following it, and people have been giving me feedback on it, and I'm kind of just like, wait a minute, it's how bad? And I guess it got to this level where eventually what's happening is the pre-orders for all Yu-Gi-Oh sets are dropping so much for English in the United States that I guess Konami's being forced to finally do something. Like, no joke right now. You ready for this? For the first time in forever, I guess ever, decades, ever, Yu-Gi-Oh and Konami.
Who is he talking to? Does he have like a camera team? I don't know who this is. I've never watched his videos before, but is he just really paranoid or is there someone there? Genuine question.
Announced that they are actually, and again, I could be wrong. This could be fake news.
He's talking to me.
I'm pretty sure this is true.
Well, he's just looking around all the time.
I'm being told, and I'm being sent links that says Yu-Gi-Oh is finally going to start doing new things to, from everything from power level. You ready for this? Card frame, extended arts, art overlays, maybe like break. Just all they're gonna actually do stuff.
Wait, is this rumors? Like, when was this video posted? 21st of December. Hold up, was that before the announcement? This was Sunday. Okay, no, that's right on time. Okay, what? He didn't have the leaks. It was right on the day.
Top of that, I'm hearing rumors that apparently they're talking about serialization, serialized cards in the world of Yu-Gi-Oh. Now, part of me is kind of my initial reaction, like you all, is like, wow, took them long enough. Did they just wait for it to go bankrupt almost? The other part of me is like, I wonder if they had a choice. I wonder if Yu-Gi-Oh was getting to the point where the pre-orders and the amount of stores buying the product is dropping so low. I wonder if they didn't have a choice. Because there becomes a point where so many people stop getting your product, stop ordering your product. Like, I'm not sure there's really a path.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying me that he's off center.
To be profitable on selling English Yu-Gi-Oh or producing it. I mean, the amount, like, I know people in stores that were ordering 400, 600, 900, probably actually, not 1,000 plus, but like 500 to 1,000 boxes per Yu-Gi-Oh release. And then they're cutting it. 600, 400, 360, 240. And I'm sitting here going, okay. And not to mention, again, according to one...
And I guess like extra information for people who aren't aware of how it works, but your order of a product from a distributor for like Yu-Gi-Oh product has to pertain to a certain quota. So to keep numbers simple, the next core set of Yu-Gi-Oh I'm going to order 100 boxes. And the next core set of Yu-Gi-Oh I'm going to order 100 boxes. But the next side set of Yu-Gi-Oh sucks ass, so I'm going to order 10. You can't really do that as a store, as a vendor. You have to maintain some degree of consistency in your order scale, just to maintain fairness between all of the vendors. Otherwise, you would have, smaller vendors essentially cutting into, more established vendors' profits, or I suppose like order numbers, because you would potentially have like, one of the best sets in recent years that we had for core sets was Agov, the Snake Eye one. That was like really, really profitable for vendors and stores and stuff. What you can't do is like, all right, I'm going to order 1,000 cases of Agov. And then next core set, I'm going to order 5. Like, you're not allowed to do that. So you have to maintain some degree of consistency between your orders, which makes the situation even like crazier, right? Because you know how bad some of the side sets are, right? Like, imagine having to buy the, Salmon Great Volcano or whatever it was that was kind of ass. Do you remember that water set that was horrible? The only good reprint was like literally Droplet and like Seals. Like, so Yu-Gi-Oh has really garbage sets, but it also has really insane ones. So you can't afford as a store to, go all in on like a big core set, make all your money from it, but then you're then also expected to keep within that number of like 80% orders of like the side sets and stuff, right? So there has to be some degree of consistency. But it's an even tougher situation for stores.
Distributor, what I may or may not have had a chit chat with outside of office hours, the average Yu-Gi-Oh store orders on a new release of Yu-Gi-Oh! You ready for this? 1 case, 12 boxes. That's what one person told me. The average store of thousands of accounts nationwide in the United States is now averaging 1 case, with many stores just said F off. I'm not touching it. After losing money, 10, 15 cents, and people just stopped. So now, it feels like they didn't have a choice. That's my Rudy opinion. I feel like they almost didn't want to. And they're like, well, I guess... I don't know what the management's attitude is. I don't know anything about Konami and Yu-Gi-Oh! All I know is you say the word Konami to anyone in the card world or the business world, and everybody cringes and acts like Konami is like the worst name and the worst entity in the history of mankind.
Yeah, I mean, not wrong, right?
Name is just surrounded.
Like the sad reality is Yu-Gi-Oh is the best game run by the worst company. Like out of all of the trading card companies, like people give a lot of shit to Wizards of the Coast and stuff. I'm sorry, but like Konami exists. That's just the reality. I know every person of their own card game would say, nope, no, Bandai is the worst. Like, dude, have you ever dealt with Bandai? Bandai is garbage. Bandai have shut down all of their games, like, blah, blah, blah. Nope. Konami's the worst.
By people who just get angry. You say the word and people just, ugh. So, that's my opinion. I think they're being forced to do this. And I think at this point, why did they wait so long? Like, if you know you're at like set number 15 in a row of just collapsing with no demand, maybe you should do something.
The answer to that is pretty simple. Konami is one of the most bureaucratic, or Yu-Gi-Oh is one of the most bureaucratic intellectual properties in trading card game, right? There's a lot of permissions and stuff that need to be taken and given from like the anime, the manga studio, who technically owns the rights upon Takahashi's family's behalf and stuff like that, or whatever the legal jargon is there. In order to get something changed in Konami TCG North America or EU, you got to ask someone on the bottom ladder of a department on some other company, who then has to take it up the ladder of that corporate company, who then sends it to another company, and then it gets accepted, and then, you know, before you know it, it's been like 6 months, right? So anyone who's worked a corporate job knows how much of a bottleneck that type of stuff is. Obviously, this is an emergency situation. It's literally been 10 plus sets in a row, years at this point, where Yu-Gi-Oh product is ass and isn't being profitable, and it's dying on the shelves, and stores have no reason to stock it. But it does take time from a corporate level to get shit moving. So that is why, you know, I'm sure he's being hyperbolic, but that is the answer to the question.
So
the janitor makes the balance.
Serious meetings behind closed doors may or may not have happened, and I think there were people saying, like, I think there were conversations on pretty uncomfortable topics. That's all I'm gonna say. Pretty uncomfortable topics. So we're gonna see what's gonna happen. Now that brings me to the next thing. We're pretty soon going into 2026 for the first time ever. Konami's gonna have new Yu-Gi-Oh sets with overextended art, new framework, new art protruding out of the frame, and I guess serialized cards. No, lose my voice. So if there's serialized cards, they have to disclose the pull rate of the serialized card, which means, are they going to lower the print runs? Are they going to make them a certain size? It gets a little interesting. Then the next question is this going to...
The sad thing about the full arts is, like, if they want to really save the game from a economic perspective at the local level, the average person is not going to have money to buy those frame break cards. You want a frame break Karakura? That's $300. You want a frame break Dark Magician Blue Eyes? Yeah. See if you can afford $5,000 or something per copy. The reality is, like, if they want the product to do well, that number has to be bigger. That's the truth. So, if they're just gonna spill it into every pack, and every other Tom, Dick, and Harry's gonna have a playset of Frame Break Ashes or something because it's in Rarity Collection reprinted at like 1 in 20 packs or something, then it doesn't really fix the problem. They can make some of them affordable and some stay expensive. So that's kind of the goal with the serialized cards. If you guys recall and saw from the Jump Fest, I don't know if we got like a proper shot of it, but the what are they called?
Konami.
They're called Grandmaster rares. There you go. These ones. These are serialized. These are gonna be like literally 1 in like 100. Like this shit's gonna go for like tens of thousands, potentially. Right. So I mean that's where the money theoretically could come from to carry the game and essentially carry whales.
Going to cause a true resurgence, or are so many people so burned on Yu-Gi-Oh?
Oh, Rhyme has
they're
some
gonna say,
pictures.
"That's
Can
not
you send
enough,
me?
I'm out anyways." Or are we going to have a rubber band theory, where it's been pulled and stretched into the gutter for so long? Now is everyone for the first time ever going to go back and say, "Give me 1,000 boxes of the Yu-Gi-Oh product," because there's specialty chase cards, there's serialized expensive cards, and does Yu-Gi-Oh become collectible again? We've talked about this for the last 11 years on this channel.
Make Yu-Gi-Oh collectible again.
If your product is not collectible,
Holy.
it is not a collectible card game. If you make products that are designed without creativity and half-ass, and it destroys the products behind you that you sold people, people are eventually going to back away.
That's what happened with
People are
QCRs.
going to back up and say, "Damn, maybe," or I'm sorry, like in Magic the Gathering, "Damn!" Sorry, serious video. People are eventually going to literally not buy your product because they don't trust you, and simply put, they don't think you know what the hell you're doing. And that is the attitude. You know, in YouTube, in the meme world and everything, there's a lot of phrases for this. The fuck around, find out. The crazy hot matrix. You know, the hotter she is, the higher the probability she's crazy. And if you get a perfect individual, she's either a unicorn or she's a robot.
What is he talking about? Well, what are these words?
You play stupid games, you want stupid... all of these phrases on the internet that swirl around, they are popular, and you all know them because, well, they're common sense. They make sense. We all can relate. We can connect. We understand what that means. And
It's Reddit humor.
I guess a part of me is nervous that they're going to announce this on this first Yu-Gi-Oh set in 2026, and everyone's going to overorder it. And if everyone overorders it, I don't know if there's going to be enough buyers and people who are going to trust to go back to Yu-Gi-Oh after what's happened. You can't take 15 failing sets in a row. And again, I'm just estimating, maybe 20, maybe 10. You can't take 10 to 20 failing sets in a row and then be like, "Hey, we're going to do something new. Everything's fixed." It's going to take more. It's going to take more time and trust to be.
Yeah, someone said this earlier, but like if there needs to be like demand, right? So all of the stores can go back and rubber band into mass ordering 1,000+ set boxes of the new sets and stuff. And they're going to pull all these Grandmaster rares and all these like, you know, insane frame break cards, but if there's no demand because there isn't a collector's market because they all packed up and left like 5 years ago, then it's kind of like too little too late type of thing, right?
Built for the general public to view Yu-Gi-Oh as a collectible card game. Now again, if you ask the average Yu-Gi-Oh player, if you go on social media and look at the average Yu-Gi-Oh post, everyone thinks there's nothing wrong. The game piece.
That is not correct. We are crying out here. We are dying. We're complaining about everything. We're complaining so much that we're even just making up shit. Like, Master Duel is the problem, and it's killing the TCG.
Space Army type of Yu-Gi-Oh young player, whatever, who just plays the game, they're special Timmies. Game Piece Army mentality is a very fascinating, flawed mindset that doesn't understand the way the world functions. I'm not saying you have to like it. I'm not saying you have to be angry about it. I'm just telling you, it's a perspective that doesn't properly work in the real world. which is why it's a meme on this channel, because the real world with the layers of business, how the functions of businesses, stores, distribution, what products sell, what don't, what makes people spend, what doesn't. It's all this ecosystem of money, supply, demand, management, the print runs. There's all these variables. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Unfortunately is very heavily saturated with game piece army mentality that they're okay buying cheap cards and packs that don't have value. They're okay inputting money into the game, even if the cards they know are going to have no value. They're okay throwing their hard-earned money into the player side of that Yu-Gi-Oh! World, even if they know the cards don't really have any, they're not going to hold value long-term. They're not going to appreciate the hard money. They could put thousands into all kinds of sets and cards and decks.
I think that's always been the case with Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Like, anytime you buy a meta deck, you are signing off knowing that that deck that you are playing, unless you sell at like 24 hours before a ban list release, is pretty much going to lose all of its value at some point in the future. I don't know why that's the business model for us. In some ways, maybe it's good. It's a good thing, right? But Yu-Gi-Oh is unique because it doesn't have rotation. So, I mean, that's just like inevitable with something like this, and how the volatility of our prices are always going to work like that for meta decks and actually playing the game. It is good for affordability, though, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Generally is quite a cheap game to play recently, compared to the others. So, meta decks are still expensive. It's like worst of both worlds. No, meta decks are not that expensive. That's not true. Like, there's like maybe like some, things here and there, but for the last like year and a half, it's been pretty good.
In the future, most of that money will be gone. And that type of mindset is okay with.
Okay, to be fair, like, it's context, right? Like, an average meta deck today is what, 350, 400? That is a lot in the grand scheme of things. But you were talking about Yu-Gi-Oh, okay? Last year, you were paying over 1,000 for a Snake Eye deck.
Money. Now, me, I obviously am very vocal. I believe people who work hard for their money and they trade it for cards or whatever they're into, I believe it should almost be a respectable thing that if you worked hard, put your money into it, especially as a younger person, like, that money should hold some sort of value
compared to other card games.
Time and effort.
Minor speaking mistake. I win.
Perspective. So, because of what I feel is heavily influenced game piece army attitudes, this is why I feel Yu-Gi-Oh! Has gone this long in this direction. And I personally believe, and I have no evidence, this is just my opinion, I believe it's to the point where I think internal numbers and sales data and pre-orders for Yu-Gi-Oh! Sets are so bad. In Wall Street, we would call it a going concern. We would call it literally there is a real chance of, let's just say, the credit rating, or if there was an S&P, Moody's, Fitch kind of credit rating on Yu-Gi-Oh! Or kind of Konami, it would be flagged as, major negative credit watch, junk bond, red flag warning, danger, Will Robinson. We have a problem here because the future is very shaky for this. I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is being forced to do this because I think they're in trouble. That's my opinion. Past that, maybe this video gets shared online. I don't know if Yu-Gi-Oh! Content gets a lot of views. I don't think it does on this channel. I would expect most people to disagree with me from the Yu-Gi-Oh! World, and most people in the Yu-Gi-Oh! World are probably going to think I'm completely insane because that's what they know. And,
a little bit, but for other reasons.
Good luck with that, Timmy. And good luck, Konami. You're going to need it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's all true, right? Like, that's pretty much hit the nail on the head on everything here. I think the really scary thing that he brought up that I guess I haven't heard anyone mention before is well, all of this cool new announcements and things that we've had with the full arts and all that stuff, it all sounds good and great in paper and on theory. But is it going to pay off? Is it actually going to happen? Is it actually going to work? Because who's going to buy all of those expensive collectible things? We don't really have a collector market anymore. We just have to pray they come back and donate and invest into the game. Is there a demand for it? Because as we know, Yu-Gi-Oh! As a investment vehicle, or whatever you want to call it, as cringe as it is not very good. Like, Rarity collection is cool, great for reprints, but it's a terrible set for collectors because everything's just diluted. Like, people aren't buying rarity collection for collectability. They're paying for those cards because they want cool reprints. So there isn't really like a collector's market for that. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, Ruxin will buy everything. I'm telling you, Konami, swimsuit, rare Dark Magician Girl, everyone's back. Everyone's back. It's just, you need to know your audience. You know who your players are. Just swimsuit, rare Diabell, and this game overtakes Pokemon next year. I'm telling you.